right, let's jump right in. If you're someone who manages physical assets, anything from shipping containers to expensive equipment, you know that just keeping track of everything is a constant uphill battle. But what if the whole way we do inventory is about to take a massive leap forward? Today, we're going to look at a technology that promises to do exactly that, and it is a game changer.
No, seriously, I want you to think about that for a second. Not where your spreadsheet says they should be, but where they physically are, this very minute. For most businesses, if we're being honest, the answer is kinda. And that gap, that little space between the digital record and the physical reality, that's where huge amounts of money and efficiency just disappear. And this leads us to a seriously spooky problem. It's called ghost assets. These are the items that literally haunt your financial records. See, they exist on the books, you're paying taxes on them, you're insuring them, the whole deal, but physically, they're just not there. They could be lost, stolen, or broken beyond repair, but as far as your system is concerned, they're sitting right where they should be.
And this right here really puts it into perspective. This isn't a small thing. I mean, look at this example. A gap of 300 vehicles. That's not a rounding error. That is a massive, unnecessary tax burden and a huge financial liability. This is the exact problem that the old, traditional methods just can't seem to solve. So, let's really break down why the old ways are failing us. And hey, this isn't about blaming the people doing the work. It's about the fundamental limits of the systems we've been relying on for decades. We've been running these massive, complex operations on a foundation that's just slow, manual, and full of blind spots. And you can see the domino effect right here. It all starts with losing things, right? A high asset loss rate. That means you have to overstock just to be safe, which leads to a high idle rate, stuff just sitting there. This completely tanks your turnover efficiency. Then scheduling becomes a total nightmare, a guessing game based on old data. And the whole thing relies on people. People with clipboards and scanners walking around warehouses, often late at night, trying to count thousands of items. It's slow, it's expensive, and of course it's going to be full of errors. But what if your assets could just speak for themselves? What if every single piece of equipment could just announce, hey, I'm over here, every single minute of every single day? Well, that's the core idea behind this 2.4G radio frequency solution. We're talking about a shift from occasionally searching for your assets to a state of constant passive awareness. And the system is beautifully simple. It's really just built around these two little devices. On the left, you've got the active RF tag. Think of this as the asset's voice. You stick it on a pallet, a container, whatever, and its only job is to constantly chirp out its unique ID. And on the right, that's the intelligent RF base station. This is the ear. Its job is to just listen for those signals and report back on who it hears and where. Simple as that. And getting it all up and running is ridiculously easy. You install a few base stations around your facility, you attach the tags to your assets, you do a quick one-time bind in the system, which is basically just telling it, hey, this tag ID belongs to this specific asset. And that's it. You're done. From that moment on, the entire inventory process is automated. The base stations listen, the data flows, and you get a live view of everything. No more manual counts. Ever. Now, if you've ever worked with tracking tech before, you're probably thinking, okay, that sounds great, but what about interference? What about a warehouse that's just packed to the gills with metal shelves and liquid containers? And that is an excellent question, because that's where this technology has a secret weapon up its sleeve. See, the whole system was designed from the ground up for exactly those kinds of harsh environments. It's all built on a principle of anti-interference communication. It's engineered specifically to cut through all that noise, the metal, the liquid, the dense shelving, all the stuff that makes other radio signals just give up. So how does it pull this off? It's actually pretty clever. It all comes down to redundancy. The tags don't just broadcast on one channel. They're yelling out on 3 separate channels, all at the same time. And the base stations, they're listening on all 3 of those channels too. So let's say a big metal container blocks channel 1 and some dense shelving blocks channel 2. It doesn't matter. Channel 3 still gets through. This multi-channel approach is what guarantees a read rate of over 99.9%. It just works. Okay, so to really understand just how big of a deal this 2.4G RF technology is, we've got to compare it to the system that most people are familiar with, good old-fashioned RFID. And I want to be crystal clear here. This isn't just a slightly better version of RFID. This is a totally different way of thinking. It's a fundamental shift from an active, manual process to a completely passive, automated one. I mean, this table just says it all, doesn't it? Look at the read range. RFID gets you maybe 3 to 10 meters if you're lucky. The 2.4G solution, we're talking over 100 meters. That's not even in the same ballpark. And because of that range, you go from needing tons of high-density readers to just a few low-density base stations. For a huge 20,000 square meter warehouse, you might only need 4 of them. But honestly, the biggest difference is right here. RFID is intermittent. You scan when you need to. This is continuous, fully automated inventory, 24/7. So yeah, the tech is obviously superior, but what does that actually mean for a business? Let's translate these cool specs into bottom line results, because this is where it gets really, really exciting. First up, and this number is it's wild. You can reduce the manpower you need for inventory counting by over 95%. Just think about that for a second. The time, the money, the labor you spend just counting things, it practically vanishes. It frees up your entire team to focus on stuff that actually adds value. And next up, remember those ghost assets we talked about? Well, this is how you get rid of them for good. By having a perfect, real-time picture of where everything is, you can cut your asset loss by more than 80%. Things just stop going missing because you always know exactly where they are. And this is the real strategic game changer. You're no longer making critical business decisions based on an inventory report that's a month old. You're making decisions based on what is happening right now. This completely transforms a company's ability to be agile. It's the difference between being reactive and being proactive. And it all comes together right here. This is the end result, a single, clean dashboard that gives you total, complete visibility. No more spreadsheets, no more guesswork. You can see your total assets, their status, where they're moving, all updated live. This is what complete control looks like. So I want to leave you with this question. Forget all the tech specs for a moment and just think about the impact. If you could snap your fingers, eliminate every single ghost asset, and get a perfect live inventory count every single minute of every day, what would that really change for your business? What new